Bad news for the environment today as scientists discover a mysterious plague is wiping out sea urchins across the globe, in some places much worse than others, such as the Red Sea. And we'll talk about this, but sea urchins are an essential part of the coral reef ecosystem and life cycle. Unfortunately, there is currently a microorganism, it would probably be classified as a parasite, that is causing them, as you can see in this picture, their spines fall off, they bleach, and they ultimately die, leaving only bones behind. So the two that are most effective are Didyma cestoma and Echiontrix calamaris, which are the black spiky boys at the bottom of the ocean, and the zebra spiky boys at the bottom of the ocean. When they get infected by this single-celled organism, they begin to turn white. Their spikes fall off, the skeleton is exposed, and sea urchins ultimately die, which impacts wildlife everywhere. Now, they say this may be related to the big sea urchin die-off in the Caribbean Sea in 1983. They weren't able to identify what happened then due to technology, but they were able now. And where this is most prevalent is in the Red Sea, which is this little area between Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Sudan, and a little bit of Yemen. And what scientists are afraid of is that if a freighter, a military, a tanker ship, anything like that travels through the Red Sea and any of this single-celled organism pathogen attaches to the freighter, it flies, sails out into the open ocean, then what it's effectively going to be doing is spreading that pathogen all over the world, which therefore puts all of the sea urchins on planet Earth at risk. And, the Red Sea is a very busy place right now, both militarily and economically. There are tons of, you can see these guys washing up here totally dead. This is very abnormal. So that's almost certainly happening or going to happen in some extent. So hopefully scientists find a way to remove the pathogen, to treat or prevent the sea urchins, to get somebody to care. Because if these things die, it's just another blow to coral reefs, which are extremely, extremely, extremely important to our overall ecosystem and oxygen production here on the planet. So I really hope to God that this doesn't get any worse. This is a science-based TikTok channel, so if I were to tell you that dreams can predict the future, I would be pushing pseudoscience. Here's a quote from Delphi Ellis, basically saying, as a historical fact, many famous and important people have at least claimed that their dreams predicted the future, and I personally have had this experience as well, even though there's no scientific explanation for it, because magic's not real and we can't see the future. However, scientists have found something very interesting very recently at Rice University, which is when the brain is sleeping, some neurons not only replay the recent past for learning, but also anticipate future experiences. So this was done on a mouse model, and it actually got so complicated they had to use a machine learning algorithm to track all the neurons and all the changes in the neurons. But basically, they were able to compare mice that had done a specific task or maze or event and would then sleep and measure their neurons, and they would be remembering that event so that they could do it better in the future, compared to mice who had only perhaps seen it and were therefore anticipating this event. And the same neurons for spatial memory and experience lit up, and the ones that had gone through that process actually performed better on the test on their first time than the mice that did not. This isn't like super surprising. Your brain is not only cementing memories while you sleep, but it's also taking in all of the possible available information to try to predict something useful about your future. And if it does this correctly, it's almost as if you have learned or gained a little bit of experience about a thing before you've done it. So I don't think this proves that people can see the future with their dreams, but I do think this proves that your brain is actively working to predict the future while you sleep. It's trying to do something useful for you. I knew that Google's AI search results were bad, but I didn't know that it was telling users to eat rocks and glue pizzas. I have to skip over to the 7 most shocking answers we found on Fast Company because these are just hilarious to me. We'll go back to the technical details in a bit. How many rocks should I eat? And it says you should eat at least 1 small rock per day, according to Google AI. Running with scissors has health benefits. A cardio exercise that can increase your heart rate and concentration and focus so you don't, die. A dog has played in the NHL. Batman is a cop. That one can actually be funny. You could say he's doing a law enforcement role. For cheese not sticking to pizza, you should glue the cheese to your pizza. Like, I thought I had an image of it there. Use gasoline to cook spaghetti, and parachutes are no more effective than backpacks at preventing death when jumping out of an airplane. I love this one. You should eat at least one small rock per day. Now, Google says it's a small error. It's going to be fixed. It was a problem with, I believe, what was it, nonsensical and satirical queries and content. But I genuinely believe that Google search has been getting worse for years now. Google search has gotten so bad that I actually have to rely on Reddit and or TikTok, which is not what I would prefer to do. Like, the actual search function of rapidly finding information and not getting AI nonsense, not just getting something high rated, getting something actually accurate and peer reviewed, really hard to do just with Google these days.